Hey guys, how you doing? Can you hear me loud and clear? I had a little bit of a technical issue trying to get this thing started up tonight, but we're here, we're rocking. We're doing this. There's a bit of a delay on the video, so it might look a bit funny, but as long as you can hear me loud and clear, that's pretty cool. All right, let's get started. The secret to building an ultra lean business. Thank you so much for coming here tonight. I want to show you something before we get started. This is pretty cool. You seen one of these babies before? This is a cleaning robot, and it's just been delivered to my house this week. And the reason I got this cleaning robot will become clear tonight. And it's really what this webinar is all about, is that if you're an entrepreneur, you don't have time to do the cleaning, right? And I'm talking about the cleaning in your house and the cleaning in your business. You should, oh, we lost video there, but cleaning robot will bring us back. Thank you, cleaning robot. There's a lot of things that you should basically, oh, we lost the video, there we go. Maybe it's the cleaning robot, he's interfering with everything. Let me just put cleaning robot aside. But my point is about the cleaning robot is this, is that either automate your business or get a robot. Better to automate it, right? Like you're cleaning, don't waste your time doing it in business. So I want to talk tonight about building an ultra lean business. You know, build yourself a system. This is what it's all about tonight. So you can take that business anywhere in the world, even if that means staying right where you are. Okay, that's what ultra lean is about. So let me tell you why I'm really passionate about this subject, because this is something that I believe in. Ultra lean business. Well, let me go back 10 plus years to when I started my third business. And this was a telecoms business and a very successful business. It grew very fast. We made a lot of money. And because we grew fast and we made a lot of money, we went crazy. We did crazy things, like the things that you always want to do when you're an entrepreneur, like grow the business. You know, we got a big fancy office. You know, in London, we had an SW6 postcode, which is like one of the most expensive areas of London. We had a big office in there. We had an office in India as well. Just went crazy. So I think it got to a point in business where I sat down with my business partner. It was a Friday night. I remember really well, Friday night, and I was having a beer after work with my business partner, as we always did, just to relax and just to discuss what went on during the week. All the staff had gone home. It was just me and him. We had a beer, and I made a joke, and I said, I think we'd be more profitable if it was just you and me. And at the time, there was 10 of us, right? We had 8 employees in the UK, and at one time, we had 20 employees in India. So we had 30 people in all. And I said to my business partner, it would be more profitable if there was just the 2 of us. And I thought about it as a joke, and I laughed because I thought it was funny at the time. I'd never thought that before. But what happened that evening was a seed was planted in my head, and that seed grew. And from that seed, really, for the next, well, let's say until today, really, I've been fascinated and, you know, absolutely obsessed with ultra lean as a business. Because what happened after that point was I started looking at everything differently. I started thinking about, do we need this office? Do we need these people? Do we need to have these products? Can we do everything online? I asked all these kind of questions. And what happened was the whole thing started unraveling. You started pulling apart your business. So I think the problem that we entrepreneurs have is we end up growing the business in the wrong way. So I want to talk about tonight how you can grow the business in the right way. And I want to do as much as I can tonight in a short amount of time to give you enough time to ask questions, because you're all out there either starting a business or thinking about starting a business. And I want you to know this: less is more. It really is when it comes to business. In many ways, here's the 4 ways I think less is more. We'll kick off, and then we'll go into the solutions that I want to share with you tonight about how you can grow an ultra lean business. You know, you could be more profitable if you had less people. And that could be going from 2 to 1, or it could be going from 5 to 1 or 2 or whatever. You know, one of the big problems that entrepreneurs make, and I see this with the entrepreneurs that I mentor, that I work with, that I invest in or advise, you know, they hire too quickly. And my advice to people, especially these days, it was different 10 years ago, but especially these days, hiring should be your absolutely last resort. Where possible, outsource everything. We'll talk about that a bit tonight. You could be more productive if you did less. Wow. How on earth is that going to work, Graham? You know, you're probably working crazy hours. Imagine if you're an entrepreneur, you're working 12 hours a day minimum, right? You're getting up at crazy hours, you're going to bed at crazy hours. Wow. You know, whatever happened to sleeping 8 hours a day? That doesn't happen anymore. Well, I want to show you tonight how you could be more productive by working less. So that's worth sticking around to hear, right? And you could be happier if you grew slower. You know, this whole thing about growing a business, this whole growth thing, ultimately at the end of the day, what happens is many entrepreneurs compromise why they're in business in the first place. And you're in business for yourself and to be happy and to be in control and all those kind of things that you wanted that you didn't get in the normal salary world, right? Well, if you have the bravery to step outside a little bit and look at your business and grow it slower, you can be so much happier. And I want to share with you tonight how you can do that. So let's kick off. I want to share with you what the number one problem is that entrepreneurs have, and also the number one reasons why entrepreneurs go out of business in year one. And you know, the statistics show 6 out of 7 entrepreneurs go out of business in the first year. Think about that. Only 1 in 7 of you here tonight will survive past year one. That's the reality of being in business. If you're in your second or third business, your chances are much, much higher. But for your first business, 1 in 7 is the success rate. And here's why. So I want to share with you a graph. And this is a basic graph that shows on the one hand side here, level volume, right? So sales or costs. And on this axis here, time. So what happens in year one is your revenues kind of follow this curve. They start off slow. And then sort of as you get into, you know, you get a bit of traction second half of the year and things start to pick up a little bit. That's a sort of a very natural curve for entrepreneurs in year one. You know, that may not be 6 months, 7 months down the line. It may be much later. But at some point, you're going to hit traction and your business will grow. What then happens is this, is they go through these 5 steps, which I want to share with you tonight, which will guarantee business failure in year one. So if you want to fail in year one, follow these 5 steps. You know, think about it. Just do the reverse of what I'm going to show you now. So the first point is that what tends to happen that many entrepreneurs do, and why 6 out of 7 entrepreneurs fail in their first year, is their expenses go out of control, right? They sort of start off quite low. You know, you have this situation where you work at home, where you're in a co-working space, and you know, you're not drawing a lot of salary out of the business, and you're keeping things really minimal, and things are going well. You're making a small bit of profit in the business and so on. And then what happens is this point here where things just spiral out of control. And this happens to so many entrepreneurs. I want to show you how you can deal with this tonight and how you can avoid it. It's this step here where the first step in guaranteed failure in year one is this: cool, we're growing. Feels really good, right? You're selling stuff. People are buying stuff. People are coming back, and whether it's a product or a service, people are buying the stuff again, and it's great. It feels good, and you're starting to get orders, and you know, you're waking up in the morning and you've got an order there in your inbox in the email. It feels good, and you think, wow, you know, I've been working really hard, and now it's paying off. Then what happens is, this is where it starts to go wrong, is this conversation. Let's hire people and do all the things big companies do. So, you know, you're starting to make revenues and you're starting to draw a salary, you know, a small salary out of the business. And you're starting to think, well, you know, maybe if I get somebody else to do this, or, you know, I hire somebody, or, you know, maybe I get an office now because I've always wanted to do that. And what happens then is the expenses start to creep up. And you think, well, I hire a sales guy and, you know, he might cost me a lot of money, but I'll make that back in revenues. And you start to get excited because you're recruiting people, you're growing, you can see new people, new faces, everybody feels excited. You know, yesterday you were 2 people, tomorrow you're 5 people, 6 people, people saying, oh, you're growing really fast. It feels really good. You feel like a big growing company. And that's what really gives you this sort of buzz. And you get carried away with this thing, right? And then you hit this stage like, why the fuck aren't our sales growing now? And this is where it really starts to go wrong. It's because suddenly you realize what happens is you spend all this time building up your expense base. You've recruited people, you've started taking on staff, you've started, hiring services which you never would have hired before yourself. And your revenues are trailing your expenses, and you're starting to sweat now. For the first couple of months, it was okay because you knew you were going to bring that back round. But once you start to see that as a long-term trend, you start sweating and you start realizing, shit, this is not working out. And then you get this last stage is, holy fuck, we're doomed. And that is, you run out of money. You burnt your way through all the cash because your expenses ran out of control. And what happens in this situation is something which entrepreneurs have run away from. The reason why you left the corporate world in the first place was, you didn't want to do work just for the sake of work and pay the bills. You didn't want to do work because somebody told you to do this, right? But when you end up in that situation where you're running out of money in a business, you're just scratching around and looking for business. And I see this situation where entrepreneurs are getting told by clients what to do, and they have to do this work because, it's a really important client and all that kind of bullshit. You want to avoid that. That's not a lean business. That's the opposite of a lean business, which is a fat business. And I'll talk about how you can avoid that tonight. And often what happens is we entrepreneurs are too busy to notice all of this happening. So one point we're growing and the next point, boom, we're out of business. What the hell happened? I was too busy. I was too busy recruiting people, too busy out there. Well, you didn't keep your eye on the ball, and boom, it happens. 6 out of 7 entrepreneurs go out of business in the first year. So our key tonight is we have to fight business bloat every goddamn day. And I want to show you how you can do that. We've got to fight this stuff. You know what it's like? It's like flying. If you're a bird and you want to fly, you've got to flap your wings every goddamn day because gravity is pulling you down. The day you stop flapping your wings, the day you're going to fall to earth, right? That's what it's like in business. If you get, comfortable, if you think, well, no, we're doing really well now, maybe I can spend a bit of money, gravity is going to pull you down. So why do we need a lean business? So I want to talk about that tonight, why I think you should focus on building your business the lean way. And let's have a look at what that would be in year one. Here's 4 steps that you need to go through in year one to build a lean business. So this is a lean business where you're in control, where you are making profit, where you have cash flow, where you can decide what kind of work that you want to do. So same revenue curve as the one you just seen. The difference being is that the expenses are under control. Whereas before you saw the expense curve was going way up here somewhere. The difference between a lean and a fat business is essentially how well on a daily basis you can keep your expenses under control. So it's the same story. Cool, we're growing. But rather than then going splashing out on stuff, on people and offices and all that kind of thing, you focus on building a system. So you say, let's build a system so we can scale this baby. Let's compare that situation. On the one hand, in a fat business, the owner says, well, we're growing. Let's go and advertise or let's exhibit at this conference. All right. That's how a fat business owner would do it. Spend money on exhibiting at a conference. A lean business owner would say, I ain't going to do a conference. I'm going to build a system around online webinars or conferences. I'm not spending any money on exhibition stands or travel or anything like that. So rather than do the offline thing, build a system. I want to talk about a system tonight. And once you have a system, you can do this rinse and repeat. Because once you have a system, you just keep repeating this thing all the time and improving it. And that is where you make profits. And that is the goal of tonight, to show you how you can build this, build a system, rinse and repeat, bingo. That's what we want to do, a lean business. That's what it's about tonight. So let's compare first lean versus fat, so you understand what the difference is between these 2 types of businesses and how you can grow your business in year one. So if you understand, if you're going fat, you need to go on a diet, you need to go down the gym, the business gym. So tonight is like the business gym. You might sweat a little bit by some of the things I'm going to tell you. So I want to show you how you can do that. So let's compare a lean and a fat business. And I'll show you the different criteria so you can understand. If you are constantly busy, well, you have a fat business, right? Whereas an ultra lean business is a business where you're able to take time out and plan and think. And that is so important because if you're constantly busy, you're not able to work on the business. You're constantly working in the business. And that's how 6 out of 7 entrepreneurs fail in the first year. A fat business owner is constantly chasing the next deal. All right. So, I see this where I hear entrepreneurs say they're doing this work for a client. They hate the work, but the client pays money. That's why you left the corporate world in the first place, right? The key to growth, the key to profitability is saying no. The day you're able to say no to customers and clients is the day you're able to grow. Because then you can pick and choose what kind of business you want, what kind of clients you want to build that business on. And as a fat business owner, you're always in this, what I call the whirlwind, this hand to mouth, this day to day. Wow, I've got to do this and it's so crazy. And I've got emails and I've got to deal with this, this thing coming from the client comes in at 8 in the morning. I've got to deal with that first 3 hours and boom, boom, boom. And as soon as you know it, it's 8 o'clock at night. Whereas an ultra lean business owner doesn't do any of that. They're able to take time out and invest in the long term. And that is how you grow. And ultimately, this all comes down to happiness, right? Stress. Fat business, high stress, high overheads. Lean business, low stress, low overhead. So that's what it's about. So I want to show you tonight, really, ultimately, is how you can have a low stress business. If you want to get right down to the bottom of it, a lean business is a low stress business. So how do we do that? Let's have a look at it, because this is all about choice at the end of the day. So let's have a look at what I call the ultra lean business virtuous circle. This is where it feeds into itself. This is the situation you want to get your business into. Okay. So you start with the basis of an ultra lean business, and I'll show you what the basis of that is tonight. The 3 things that you need to have a lean business. When you have a lean business, you have longer burn time. Burn time is a startup word or phrase, and it basically means how much money you have, how much time you have to burn that money. So, you may have the same amount of money as a fat business, but if you're burning a third or fourth of that business, you're going to last 3 or 4 times longer. And that's significant because it means that as a lean business, you have more time to make mistakes and more time to take risks. That's really important because risk is key to growth. When you're a fat business owner, you can't take risks. You're confined to this rigid system where you've got very high overhead, so you have to get very high revenues. You don't have any space to breathe. And the key here is what you can really do as a lean business owner that a fat business owner can't do is go out and talk to customers. It makes such a difference, not just to, getting your business on course, but also to stress, because when you're talking to customers, you really get an understanding of what people love about your business. When you see the fat business owner, he's so busy, he doesn't have time for that shit. He's too busy building an app or looking after the website or fixing a database or whatever it is, that he doesn't have time to talk to the customers. But you have to remember, talking to the customers is why you're here in the first place. And when you can talk to the customers, you can also build your system. And the system is key. I want to talk about systems tonight, especially the marketing funnel. If you are doing the Up.School 0 to 1 business course, you would already come across the marketing funnel. I'll talk a little bit about what that is in terms of the system and the lean business tonight. And this is all about planning. Going back to stress again, because a fat business owner doesn't have time to plan. Every day is just whatever the day throws at them, right? You don't want that. You, as a business owner, want to wake up, you want to be able to plan your day, be relaxed, do the kind of work that you love, talk to the kind of customers that inspire you, and finish work when you want to finish work, right? That is the goal. That is the ideal business that everybody wants, right? And I want to show you how you can do that tonight. So let's do it. How can you build a lean business? Let's kick in. So these are 3 things, the 3 strategies to become ultra lean that I want to share with you tonight. And what I'll do there's a lot to digest tonight. I want to give you a link where you can download this presentation at the end so you can take it away and review your notes. Okay? And you'll get an email after this webinar after 8 o'clock Japan time, and it will give you a link to download the presentation. Right, tropical island test. Let me explain. Okay, let me ask you this question. What would your business look like if you ran it from a tropical island somewhere? Think about that. Now, the reason why I ask you this question is not because you want to go and live on a tropical island. Well, I mean, it's not bad. It's not a bad thing to do, right? It's pretty nice. But you know, I've done that. I lived on tropical islands for 3 years, and after 3 years, it gets kind of boring, right? Believe it or not, I've done that. So it's cool, but long term, it ain't cool. But the reason I ask this is if you can think about a business that you can run on a tropical island, it's ultra lean because you know you don't need to be in a particular place. You don't need to have an office. You don't need all the kind of overhead that most businesses have, right? So the tropical island test is really what would this look like if you ran it from a tropical island? What would you need and what would you not need? And if you can build it, even if you have no plans whatsoever going to live on a tropical island, it's a really good question to ask because then you realize some of the shit that you have in your business you don't really need. Okay, like what would your business look like if you didn't have an office? These days, you really don't need an office for your business. I know people say to me, "Oh, I need an office because of this reason and that reason." At the end of the day, you you know, at the end of the day, when it comes to offices, you can live and work so much better without a fixed office. Okay, an office should be the absolute last resort. There are some cases where you need an office. So, for example, I remember one entrepreneur that I was working with for some time, and she had an office, and I said to her, "Why do you need the office?" And she said to me, and I'm not joking, her answer was, well, where else would the office manager go? All right. So this is the kind of thing that we have to be careful about as entrepreneurs is that, you know, you think you need an office because you have these things that need an office. Where actually, if you didn't have those things that need an office, you don't need an office. All right. That's not a tongue twister, but that's the reality of how it is with being an entrepreneur, right? What happens if you didn't need a team? Or what happens if you could reduce that team somehow? I bet you don't need half the people that you pay on your payroll. I know that's a really tough question to ask, but you know that's where I work with entrepreneurs as a mentor, and I ask that question, and they don't want to ask that question because a lot of entrepreneurs are afraid to let people go. But at the end of the day, chances are you don't need as many people as you think you need. You could do a lot better. You could do a lot better just you and have an outsourced team. You won't spend your time managing people. You know, managing people is a complete waste of an entrepreneur's time. You manage people if you're a manager. A manager is not an entrepreneur, and an entrepreneur is not a manager. All right. So don't get into the game of managing. And you know, you don't have to be thinking about things like, you know, one of the things I see a lot of entrepreneurs getting getting distracted by is things like, you know, how do I motivate my staff? You know, they think about things like, incentive packages, and they spend all this time thinking about incentive packages for the salespeople. It's a complete waste of time, right? Because you end up spending so much time on people who are effectively less value than you, because you are the entrepreneur. You are the most value in that business, and you are dedicating your time to people who are lower value than you. So you have to be really careful about that. You get carried away because you think it's a whole thing about being the boss, being the leader, and growing the business. So outsource. We outsource absolutely everything you can, except the thing you can't outsource. All right, that sounds obvious, but what is that thing that you can't outsource? It's what you do. It's what nobody can replace you to do, right? Whatever it is, it may be customer contact, sales, you know, your presentations, whatever it is, there's that thing that you do. Never ever outsource that. One of the big mistakes I see entrepreneurs make is they outsource customer contact. They outsource client contact. Never ever do that. That is where you create the value. That's what you as the entrepreneur should be doing. Outsource everything else that stops you having client contact. And where you can, take everything online. So if you've got a product, ask yourself, what would our business look like if we did everything online? As much as we could online. You think, well, I can't do this online, but I bet you can. I bet you can take some of it online. And the more you can take online, the more lean you become. So let's compare. I'll just show you this to you now. And if you want to get this table comparison, you can get it in the download, okay? So we won't sort of stick on it too long tonight. So the key here is asking that what if question. It's a dangerous question to ask, but it's the question you need to ask as an entrepreneur. What if? What if I didn't need an office? What if I could run from a tropical island? What if I didn't need a team? What if I could outsource? All these questions, right? Have a look at the download if you want to go back and review those questions. The second one, and this is absolute key, if you want to make money, if you want to be rich, at the end of the day, be rich, have assets, have a comfortable life, be financially independent. You have to do this. You have to make money while you sleep. The reason why people who get paid by salaries never become rich is because they are always trading their time for money. Okay, and they've only got so much time. That can never be changed. They can't get two jobs. They can't make two of themselves. So, the biggest weakness that we have as entrepreneurs is there's one of us and only 24 hours in a day. I'm not joking. I hear these really silly questions that people, I've asked these silly questions as well. I'll show you what they are. Things like, how can I sleep less? Come on, a minute. I'm sure some of you here tonight as entrepreneurs have asked this question. How can I sleep less? How can I sleep 4 hours a night or 3 hours a night? I mean, if you get away with 3 or 4 hours a night, good luck to you. But most people can't. And what they start asking is these questions because what they want is an extra 3 hours in the day, because they're so busy that they think having an extra 3 hour in the day will change all that. But it won't. It only makes it worse. Sleeping less is only going to make yourself more stressed, more unhealthy, and unhappier. How can I clone myself? I know people say this joking, but they seriously think about this. How can I clone myself, right? Because, if there are more of me, I can make more money. Well, that's not the challenge. What you need, rather than a clone or sleeping less, is a system that works even when you don't, okay? And what you absolutely need to build is a marketing funnel. So let me just spend a minute on a marketing funnel to explain what this is. If you don't have a marketing funnel, the first thing you should do after this webinar is go and check out the Up.School 0 to 1 e-course, because there's a whole section of marketing funnels in there, okay? And that's on the Up.School website, Up.School.io. You can see the 0 to 1 e-course at the top. Marketing funnel is the most important system that you can build as an entrepreneur. Effectively, what a marketing funnel is, it takes traffic, people, visitors, unknown customers, and it converts them into customers, and it converts customers into fans. Okay, that's what the funnel does. It's a process that moves people through, and it goes to work whilst you sleep. And what a funnel can do for you is it can make money whilst you sleep. It can send emails, convert people, communicate with people, do everything that you don't have so much time to do. So you've absolutely got to build a marketing funnel. So you need to know things like, for example, conversion, lead page generation, newsletter optimization, and autoresponders. These are all technical terms. If you're not familiar with them, I talk a lot about them in the course. This is what you need to learn. If you're an entrepreneur, you need to learn this stuff, how to build a marketing funnel. If you're really good at sales and you're really good at going out and getting deals, fantastic. But your weakness is, as soon as you're not selling, the business isn't selling. As soon as you're not out there talking to people, the business isn't selling. So how do you maintain that momentum that, when you're coming back from a sales meeting, that the business is still turning over, all right? Or if you're not a salesperson, how can you sell when you're, in the office? So a marketing funnel should do all the heavy lifting for you. Because otherwise, you need a big team of people to do this. With a marketing funnel, you don't need a marketing manager. You don't need a social media manager, any kind of this stuff. You can do all of this yourself. So the marketing funnel is absolutely essential. So if there's one thing to take away from tonight is marketing funnel. What is your funnel? What are you doing to build it? And you can start right away building a marketing funnel by setting up a newsletter. Okay, go to Up.School, check out the course. It talks a lot about setting up a newsletter there. You can set it up for free with a web service like MailChimp, but absolutely must have a marketing funnel. Because once you have a funnel, you can rinse and repeat. You can just focus on what works really well. Just keep doing that. And that's where you really make money. Okay, you're not going to make money by creating a good product and selling lots of that product. Okay, that's a pipe dream. What you're going to make money out of is by creating a product and having a funnel that sells that product for you. Okay, and you as the entrepreneur of the business, you as the leader of the business, your role is to go out there and be the face of the business. Okay, talk to your customers. Do the presentations, do the YouTube video stuff, all right? But to make all of that work and to make profits, you need a funnel. So that's the second area. Once again, a comparison, which you can see in the download. I'll give you the link at the end of this after the Q&A session. Build your funnel, guys. Absolutely key takeaway from tonight. The last point about building an ultra lean business is this is for you social media guys, all right? If you're doing social media, listen up. And that is double down on what works. Okay, so you probably spend a lot of time thinking about social media or doing social media or active in social media, setting up Facebook pages, Twitter, all that kind of thing for your business. And what I want to share with you tonight is most of that is a waste of time. Okay, so as an example, there's an author called Seth Godin, a very influential business author. And, he has a very, very big following, very influential. He was a lot of business speakers and business authors today. He is like a genesis of a lot of the ideas. He doesn't have a Twitter account. And when asked why, is because he says, if I spend time on Twitter, I won't spend time on doing what I'm good at. Okay. And this is the same with you. Every single one of you here tonight, you are good at one thing. And for example, for me, what I'm really good at is presentations. As you can see, hopefully this is an enjoyable presentation because you're all still here. So that's what I'm good at, presentations. If I was to spend a lot of time on Twitter, I wouldn't be spending time on presentations. So if you're having questions like, I haven't updated Twitter, oh shit, I haven't updated Twitter this week, what's going to happen? And you look at your Twitter account and nothing's happened, right? So if you're having these kind of conversations, relax, don't worry about it. This is a danger area that you can get into. If you start thinking, I need to get on Twitter, I need to get on Facebook, should I get on Pinterest, all these kind of things, and it's kind of like an moment, it's like all these different things that you could do and you could end up spending a lifetime doing, right? And what then happens is if you try and be good at all of these things like Pinterest, Twitter, I don't know, Snapchat, whatever. Oh, these guys have got Snapchat. I need to get on Snapchat. Oh, these guys are on YouTube. I need to get on YouTube. If you try and be good at all of this stuff, then what happens is you just average at best. And nobody bothers with average these days, right? Why you watch an average video? So the key here is which one of these channels works for you. And, there's for each one of you here tonight, there's one form of social media or maybe one or two forms of social media you are really good at. You might be the Twitter queen for all I know, or you might be the Pinterest king or whatever. I'm not, right? But maybe you are. And if that's the case, you should focus on that channel and double down and stop worrying about what everybody else is doing, okay? Because you will make so much more progress if you double down on the channel that works for you. And when asking the question, what works for you? Well, it's obvious. It's the one that you really enjoy, and it's the one that people respond to you on, right? What is that one channel? And go for it. Just commit all your energy to that one channel. If it's not Twitter, don't worry about Twitter. If it's not Pinterest, don't worry about Pinterest. Don't worry that these guys have got a Snapchat account and you haven't. Just go for what works for you, what suits your personality, and build your whole funnel around that. Okay, build your system around that one thing or those one or two things you're really good at. So for me, for example, what I really enjoy and what I'm good at is presentations. So that's webinars, slide shares. I want to show you slide. That's a tongue twister. I want to show you slide shares tonight. Yeah, try and say that one really fast. Okay, so I want to show you slide shares tonight, presentations, webinars, those kind of things. That's what I'm really good at. So I've doubled down on that. I'm not really big on Twitter. Facebook page is pretty poor and lousy. It needs a lot of work and so on. And also the podcast. So radio, again, it's like presentation. So that works really well for me. Find the channel that really works well for you and don't worry about everything else. And that's how you can build a lean business, because you just focus your time on that one thing which works really well for you. What fat business owners do is they spread their time across everything, so when they have a bit of spare time, they're doing Twitter and they're doing their Facebook page and blah, 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 all those kind of things. And they can never grow because they just average at everything. All right. Whereas if they just went for those one or two things and just were fantastic about those one or two things, wow, they'd kill everybody dead. Not literally, but they would impress, they would move people, and they would create a movement around those one or two channels which they're really good at. Once again, a comparison in the download. So find your sweet spot. What is your sweet spot in business, in terms of the channel that really works well for you, and just go for it. Okay, just double down on that. And it's probably not something that's mainstream. Everybody knows about YouTube and Twitter and that kind of thing. But, go for the things that maybe other people aren't doing, right? Like podcasts, for example. Maybe that works really well for you. You don't know until you try. So we'll go to Q&A in a minute. So any questions you have about tonight, just put them in the chat box right down there somewhere. Yeah, I can't really point. Down the left side of the screen, any questions that you have about tonight. Let me just summarize what we're talking about tonight. So how to build an ultra lean business, a business that you could take anywhere in the world. These three things effectively. Ask what if. That's the dangerous what if question. You've got to be doing this every day. What if I didn't need that office? So think about all the things that you have in your business and start trying to pull it apart. Okay. What you're doing is you're stress testing your business so that anything that's kind of a bit weak will fall off. Okay. And that may be difficult to do because maybe you've built a bit of comfort around that thing. You kind of like your office and it's nice to go there every day and so on. But that creates bloat in the business, and you can do without that. So, second one, build a funnel. The marketing funnel is absolutely key to building a lean business, a super lean business. Marketing funnel is central to that. Read as much as you can about marketing funnels. Read as much as you can about lead conversion, about newsletters, automation. Try and automate the whole thing as much as possible. Now, just want to say about that, people say, well, I don't want to automate my business because, I don't want to be a robot and my clients don't want to be dealing with a robot, right? Well, that's not kind of how it works. What you're doing is you're automating everything that isn't valuable to the client. The most valuable thing to the client or your customer is human contact. So you don't want to be automating human contact. You don't want to be outsourcing that. You want to automate everything else, so the emails, all that kind of stuff, right? The sign-ups and blah, 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 all those kind of things. But, that phone call that you make to the customer, that's you. That's human. That's what wins fans long-term, right? Or, when you go out and present to people, that's you. You're human. That's what people want these days. People want human touch, right? Why do people go to Starbucks and not McDonald's? They want the human touch, right? So that's what it's all about. Outsource, build a funnel, invest your time in creating human contact, right? And find your sweet spot. And that really goes back into the funnel as well. Find the sweet spot, that thing that you do really well, and just really go for it. And I guarantee if you've found something that works for you right now, and you double down on it, you will see results. And if you're not sure what that is, then just keep trying. Find that thing that works for you. Go back beyond your business history. Go back to school. What were you really good at school? Those things that you did when people didn't tell you you should do them. You did because you loved doing it, not because you got paid or because it was homework, right? So find your sweet spot. All right, before we go to Q&A, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a link after this a presentation, and it will give you a link to a website called SlideShare. The reason why I want to share with you SlideShare tonight, if you're not already using SlideShare, go and check it out. It's a fantastic resource to find ideas for business, find the latest thinking in business and so on. So if you're not signed up on that, go and sign up on it already. If you are on LinkedIn, you can sign up with your LinkedIn account. You just click the button with your LinkedIn button, you're in. But I put my presentation on here. Basically, the presentation you see tonight, I put a longer version of that on SlideShare. So go and check it out after this presentation. Go and you can download it. The download button is below the presentation, and there's a like button. You don't have to click the like button to download it, but that'd be really cool if you did, right? If you click like and then download it, because what then happens is, other entrepreneurs get to discover it as well, okay? Because you kind of get to share that with everybody else in the SlideShare community. All right, and you can download the PDF so you can review everything, see those tables that I shared with you tonight. So we've got a bit of time to go into the Q&A session. If you've got a question about tonight, just chuck it into the chat box. I will do my best in the next 15 minutes to answer, or maybe more, as many of these as I can. So cool, let's get going. So Q&A. Vipul, is it Vipul or Vipul? I don't know. You're going to educate me. What if you're not sure which social media channel works for you best? Should you take minimum viability approach and test the waters? Yeah. I kind of touched on it already, Vipul, if I can call you Vipul, but you're probably cringing if I got that wrong. But it's the thing, it's like this, like there's a social media channel which you enjoy, that, and maybe I should not use the word social media, it's something you do which you enjoy, and you go way back, go before you even started, working, and go back to, your education. What is it that you were good at? Were you the kind of person that was good at standing up in front of people in class and presenting, or were you really good at making things or whatever? So you had that thing that you were good at. There's a social media which is, built on that kind of behavior. So think about that social media channel. So for example, if you are a presenter, like you really like getting up and talking to people in public, maybe the best way for you to recruit customers isn't social media. Maybe it's doing events. You could use meetup.com, doing small events, fantastic way to get customers. I know some of you guys here tonight came through from Meetup originally. So, go to Meetup, organize events, stand in front of people, present to people, build your brand. That's one way of doing it. It's not a social media channel. It's just a way of connecting with people. So your question about should you take a minimum viability approach to test the waters? Yeah. I mean, I think beyond minimum viability, it's going to be more of an emotional connection, rather than looking at the numbers, because it's kind of difficult to test objectively all the different channels and looking at your results. It's going to be an emotional thing for you, especially at the early stage in business. Try everything, and which of those methods, which of those marketing channels for you connected with the most people? And when I mean connected, people came back to you. Because, I know here tonight, people email me after this. People email me all the time after these webinars and during the week. And, that's cool. I really like that, because that shows people care enough about what I do to make a difference, right? And I know I don't get that response on Twitter. Okay, maybe I get more likes on Twitter, but it's not about likes. It's about creating an emotional connection. So like for you and me, Vipul, we've had a conversation by email already, right? That's sort of ongoing. We're not having that conversation by Twitter. So when we're going back to that minimum viability approach, what do I double down on? It's got to be, what channel do you create enough responses from that people care enough to contact you? Okay. So you've got to try everything and just see what do people come back with. What do people come back with you and say, hey, look, I loved what you do, or I hated what you do. Just any reaction is good. You want to get people connecting with you, tell a little bit about their story and so on. So I don't know, what have you tried already and what works for you? You've got to go back and keep trying until you find that thing that connects with people. Everybody can do it here tonight. Could be Twitter, could be SlideShare, could be Facebook, could whatever. It suits your personality. Works for me, might not work for you. You know, that channel. So you've got to find a channel that works for your personality, because we're different. We're all unique, right? Hopefully that answers your question. If it doesn't, let me know. We'll continue the riff. Akos, hey man, how you doing? Good to see you here tonight. This afternoon, where you are in Budapest. Question: if I'm already doing the kind of fat business, how do I switch to lean? I mean, I'm always busy, sleeping less than needed, need every project to pay the bills. How to start to turn it into be lean? Yes, welcome to the world of the entrepreneur. So you have a fat business. What is that fat business? Is that freelancing, or is it all the different projects that you have on the go? Whatever it is, you have a business where you're too busy freelancing. Okay, so you're too busy. You're not sleeping enough. You need every project. You can't say no to clients, right? And that means taking on crap work as well as good work. And you don't probably feel fulfilled with that kind of work, all right? So that's a challenge. And that's a challenge, Akos, that freelancers have. So I'm glad you asked that. It's also a challenge that entrepreneurs have, because, in many cases, the kind of work that an early stage entrepreneur and a freelancer do are the same. Often it's one person servicing a small group of clients. So it's very similar, the question you ask. It's freelancing, small entrepreneurs. So how do you get out of that? Well, it's a really good question. The first thing you have to realize, Akos, is your best strategy has produced this result. Okay, so your best thinking has got you where you are now. Okay, so everything that you believe about business and the way you've been doing business and all your strategies have got you here. Okay, now if you're not happy with that, and it sounds like you're not, then you have to change the way you do business or the way you think about business fundamentally. Okay, because the way you're thinking about it isn't working for you. It's not that you're not working hard enough, you're working really hard, or it's not that you're not doing the right thing. You're doing everything that you can do, right? The problem is the way you're thinking about the problem. Okay, so you've got to change the way you're thinking about the problem. And I would guess that the problem is you're too busy to think about the problem. All right. So what I would suggest is this: is that it's kind of like saving money. Okay, it's a discipline. It's something that you have to do, and you have to invest money to make money long term. But to invest money, you've got to give first. All right, you've got to lose money to get money. That's the basis of investment, right? You invest in something and you lose that money effectively. You don't have that money, and then you get it back. And it's the same with your time. You will never break out of this cycle unless you start investing your time in long-term projects. Okay, because everything you're doing right now is short-term. So you will never ever change this situation unless you start investing your time. So you absolutely have to work out a way you can invest your time. So could that be 1 hour a day or 1 day a week to ring fence, to put a wall, build a wall around this time so that nothing else touches it, where you can invest in your long term? You absolutely have to, because this will not change. You need to plant seeds. Okay, you need to grow, because you're constant. Akos, your business model right now is you're a hunter. Every day you wake up with a spear and you go hunt food, right? That's kind of how it is. And you spend all day hunting, and some days you don't come back, and some days you come back and you're so tired you eat, but tomorrow you have to hunt again. Okay, that's a farmer. Sorry, that's a hunter. What you need to be is a farmer. Because what a farmer does is he doesn't go and hunt every day. He plants seeds and he grows the seeds. But he understands that if he plants seeds, he's not going to get food for 6 months or 12 months, right? So you've got to be a farmer and not a hunter. You're stuck in the hunter trap. Okay, the hunter-gatherer, always hunting with a spear. That's the problem that a lot of entrepreneurs have, is they're always hunting. Okay, but you got to switch to farming somehow. I'm talking in conceptual terms, right? But you got to be a farmer. If it was me in this situation, I would say one day a week, right? I'm going to not do this kind of work for one day a week or this 1 hour a day. And I'm just going to focus on planting seeds, on building my farm. Okay. I understand that it's going to take a few months for this to work, but I have to do this for my long term. Otherwise, this is never going to change. It's like investment. And what happens is when that first investment pays off, maybe months or years down the line, whatever, when that first investment starts paying back, you will connect the feedback cycle in your own brain and you'll say, wow, this works. And you will do more of it. You'll start investing more and more and more. So the first thing to understand is that you've got to understand this takes time. You can't change this overnight. Okay. But my advice to you, first thing is invest time. Don't make time. You're not going to sleep any less than you already do. Okay. Of all the projects that you do, how can you make a bit of time, take a little bit less on? Maybe you have to sacrifice a bit of money, but can you work with other people to make this project happen? Because maybe you need that kind of accountability, that if you work with somebody or a group of people to make this work, you would make that time to make it happen. Okay. So that's my challenge to you. You've got to be a farmer, Akos, not a hunter. And that's the way that you can grow a lean business long term. So hopefully, I don't know enough about your complete situation to be able to give you complete advice, but hopefully that will get you thinking about what you need to do. Plant seeds. After this, start thinking about how you can do that. Awesome. Good. Well, I'm really glad that that was useful and some good questions tonight, guys. Um, Before we finish up, because we're just coming up to the hour, a couple of things. Firstly, I want you to understand this, is that there's a lot of information here tonight and you can't do it all at once, but you've got a goal to work towards, and that is to try and make your business as lean as you possibly can. And it's got to be viable at the stage. You can't make it so lean that it doesn't work, but it's got to be lean enough that you can, have more time to take risks, more time to invest in your future, and so on. And you will build a business which is so much less stressful. Okay, and you get so much choice in your daily life. So for example, like some days with me, I might only work 2 or 3 hours a day, and people think, wow, that's crazy, how can you do that? But I made a conscious decision a long time ago to build this kind of business. And people look at it and think, well, you lucky you're doing this kind of. No, it's not luck at all. I took a conscious decision to build a lean business a long time ago, and now I'm enjoying the benefits of that. And I still make money, and I still make as much money as I probably would have done if I built a fat business. So it's a goal that you need to work towards. So aspire towards a lean business. That's the goal. And the second thing as well is, some people ask me about the videos for this. Where do the videos go for the webinars? Well, what I do, some of the old videos are on YouTube, but for everybody else, these sort of hour-long videos, I put them on the course. So if you're a e-course member on the 0 to 1 course, you can access all the videos, the archive there, because there's a lot of information, a lot of good stuff in there that you may miss a week. You may not catch everything in the hour. You just may want to go back and review all the notes from that hour. So they're all on the e-course. You can get that at Up.School.io. You can check out the e-course at the top. You can do week 1 of the e-course free, so you can access it just so you can get a feel for what the e-course is about. After that, you can decide whether or not it's a value to you, if you want to pay for that. So that's everything here tonight. What I will do is I will send you an email in about the next minute, and that's automated, guys, because it's a system. So practice what you preach. You'll get an email in the next minute, and that email will be sent out to you by MailChimp, And we'll talk about newsletters at the next webinar. Talk about how to build a newsletter. So important to your business. You're going to get an email, and it's going to give you a link to go to SlideShare where you can access the slides from tonight. You can download it and don't forget to like my presentation. Anything else, guys? Hit me with an email, respond to that email, hit reply, tell me about your business challenges, tell me what problems that you have in your business, what is the big project that you're working with. Love to hear from you. Do anything I can to help you out with information at this stage. Can't promise you with lots of answers, maybe ask you more questions, but it would be good to hear from you. And if you have any questions about anything that we talked about here tonight, feel free to email me. I will read every single email that lands in my inbox, and I'll see you guys at the next webinar.